Good morning. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of June, 2024. I'm back again. Let me put this. I think it's better like this. So, yesterday I made a video talking about how I'm going to go into this journey of semen retention and no fap, no porn, none of that stuff. And yeah, this is day 2. In reality, day 3, but since I started counting yesterday, this is day 2. I mean, there's not much of a difference that I noticed. I mean, I do notice the intrusive thoughts that come in and try to um, get me to watch something or, but other than that, it's just a normal day. Um, like I was saying on the previous video, about a year and 2 months ago, a year and 3 months ago, I started watching and observing myself. And since then, I can go in depth about why I started watching myself and why I started observing myself. And it's because um about I think it was the end of 2022. Yeah, the end of 2022, I had an experience that opened my eyes to the reality that there's a lot going on within me that I haven't addressed since I was a kid. I mentioned in the last video that I was sexualized at a very young age, introduced into porn at the age of 10, I believe. But um, believe it or not, in my house where I grew up, they used to watch a lot of Mexican novelas, which is Mexican soap operas. And I remember as a kid watching those things, and there's a lot of romance and kissing and all those types of things. And for a kid, for a 6 year old kid, that's I mean, 6 years when I started realizing that what was going on. But I'm pretty sure I was watching this thing since I was a baby because it was a routine in my household that my aunt, who was the one that raised me, she would watch these soap operas on at night, and it was a routine. It was an every night thing, and I'm pretty sure that had an effect on me on why I became hypersexualized at a very young age. So um, I went my all my teen years um, addicted to porn, and still to this day, barely like a year ago since I started observing myself, it's when I started noticing that this thing was driving me, that this thing was consuming me in the sense of I was looking forward to it. I wanted it. But something happened to me um, a year and 2 months ago to where I realized that I had a lot of hate inside of me um, towards my parents and towards my aunt, who's the one that raised me since I was 2 years old. And the reason why well, everybody hates their parents. I realize that now. Everybody hates their parents. Um, and when you realize that you hate your parents and you go and forgive them for raising you the way they did and imposing themselves on you, um, something magical happens to where all the fear and all those things that have been controlling you and you haven't even noticed, all those things go away. and they don't go away, they're taken away. I know they're taken away by God Himself, because when I realized that, just to tell you a little bit of my story, I guess. My mother, my biological mother, came to the United States when I was 2 years old. She left me over there in the Dominican Republic with her sister. She moved to the United States illegally. She couldn't go back. My father wasn't in the picture. He lived here in the States as well, and I would see him probably like once a year. He would go over there on vacation or business or whatever, but I wouldn't see him that much because he was always doing his thing, um, partying, drinking, gambling, women, and all those stuff. And I realized that um, I was dealing with the lustful thoughts and the lust in my life, the spirit of lust, because it's a spirit, it's a demon, it's a we we give these demons these names, depression and anxiety and sadness and envy, all those things. We give them these names, but they're actually evil spirits. And I know that for a fact. I've seen them. I've Yeah. But my dad wasn't around that much. My mom came to the States. She left when I was 2. I saw her again when I was 6. So I went 4 years without seeing my mom. And when I was 6 years old, my dad got me papers and brought me to the United States, and I was able to be with my mom for 4 months. But in reality, it was only 3 months because she was sick. She had cancer, and when I got here, I could only be with her for like I was only with her for like 2, 3 months maybe, because she got sick and she was mostly in the hospital. So for the remaining of those 2 months, I was in the I had a backpack. 6 years old, I had a backpack in the back of a car, um, just with my dad driving around, staying at my brother's house, and I got a bunch of siblings that are way older than me. So we would stay at this house, and the next day we would stay at that house, and he would drop me off here and won't pick me up for like a week or two or whatever. And now I'm a grown man, I'm a grown person. I realized those things, and those are things that I held against them. And when I realized that I had that towards them, um, they already both passed away. My mom passed away of cancer in '97, and my dad passed away 2 years later. He had heart problems. He had a bunch of other conditions, but I think he had a stroke or something like that. And they were young. My mom was 40, my dad was 54, and yeah, I growing up, I remember as a grown man, I remember saying like, "Oh, my dad was never there for me. My dad never cared about me. My dad did this, and all those things, right?" And I had that victim mentality, that because of how I was raised, I was a victim. And recently, after observing myself, I've realized that I'm not a victim, and they did the best they could with what they had. They were only passing on to me what was passed on to them from their parents. Um, the only difference is God has allowed me to realize that and to see that that's the case, and has allowed me to forgive them for that. Um, and I also went to my aunt, who was the one that raised me, and I spoke with her, and I forgave her as well, because she raised me very weak, very spoiled, very. She was very protective, very. She wouldn't let me be me. She wouldn't um, let me be me, in a sense. And I went to her and I forgave her for that. And I told her that I forgive her for that, and that I understand. And when you understand that they couldn't help it, And speaking with my aunt, I asked her, I was like, why did you raise me like that? Why did you raise me weak? Why did you raise me the way you did? And she opened up to me and started telling me the way my grandma and my granddad raised her. And it's the same thing. The same way she raised me is the same way they raised her. So she was just passing on to me and her kids what was passed on to her. So when you realize that, you can go up, you can go to them and forgive them for that. And God forgives you because um, when you forgive others, God forgives you. And it's not you that forgive them, like it's just you realizing that they couldn't help it. But forgiveness only comes from God. The only one that can forgive is God. But you realize that, hey, they couldn't help it, and I was wrong for resenting them, and I was wrong for judging them, and I was wrong for thinking that they did those things on purpose. And now I just realized that they just couldn't help it, and they didn't know that they were being driven by something else that wasn't them. Um, I also went to my brother. I forgave my brother because when my mom passed away, my brother was 16 years old and I was 6. And for some reason, I blamed him for, like, as I grew older, I blamed him for not being the brother that he was supposed to be towards me. I blamed him for not being the big brother that I thought he was supposed to be. But I realized that that was selfish of me because he lost mom too. He lost his mom too. And he was only 16. He was probably worse off than me because I had my aunt. My aunt raised me since I was 2, but he had my grandparents, but they're already old, and he had to kind of figure it out on his own since the age of 16. And it was selfish of me to hold a grudge and to hold resentment towards him because of that. And I went to him and I forgave him for that. And and what I realized is that forgiveness is the greatest gift God has given us. And when we forgive, um, we become more free. We become more in tune with who we really are. And yeah, I think I didn't know this was going to go this way. I thought I was going to be talking about semen retention, but I think that my what I hope you can take from this, if anybody watches this, is that if the observe yourself, um, watch yourself, take your eyes of other people, put your eyes on you, put your eyes on what you're doing, put your eyes on what's coming to your head, what thoughts are coming to your head, because when you do that, you'll be able to see the people that you resent and the people that you hold a grudge towards, that you have strife towards, and you can go and fix it. And I guarantee you, if you go and do that, if you go and forgive whoever it is that you think has done you wrong or whatever, if when you go and forgive and apologize for hating, your life will change. And going back to the no fap, no masturbation, no none of that stuff, the porn and all that stuff. Before I've done it, like before I forgave my mom and my dad and my aunt and my brother, and before that, I would try to not watch porn. I would try to go days without masturbating. I would try to change myself, but we can't change ourselves. The only one that can change us is God. And I've learned that in the past year or so, that the times that I try to do it on my own, to change myself, I was just in the way. I was just in the way of God doing what He needs to do to make me free. And I realized that we just got to get out of the way. We just got to get out of the way and put our thoughts on ourselves, not our thoughts, but put our eyes on ourselves, on what's happening within us. What are we feeling when somebody embarrasses us? Why do I feel embarrassed? Why do I feel hate towards this person? Or why do I feel this towards that person? Or why do I feel that? Um, if we focus more on what we're feeling and take our eyes off what other people are doing, we would be we would have a more clear mind, and we would be able to see who we really are. And it's like I said on the video yesterday, I'm not trying to keep a streak or to go so many days without it. I'm just watching. I'm just watching what's going on in my head. I'm just watching, and believe it or not, I'm not gonna share um what's going on with me and in my personal life, in the sense of my relationships and all that stuff. But I'm going through some hard moments right now, and for some reason I feel free. I don't feel I don't feel attached to it. Um, I can lose whatever I can lose right now, and I'm good with it. Like I came here with nothing, and I will leave with nothing. So I'm attached to nothing. And when you're attached to nothing, there's this freedom that comes in, and just allows you to realize they can take my body, they can take my things, but they can't take my soul, because I'm starting to learn who I am, and it's I can't even explain it. It's such an empowering thing, and there's no ego behind it. Like I just know that there's nothing to worry about. There's no one to blame. There's no one to be mad at. There's no one to think they're against you. They're going through the same thing. And what I realized is that um the things that I'm dealing within me are happening outside of me and in other people. And when you understand what's going on with you, you can better understand what's going on with them and not judge them for it. Because you understand, you know what's going on with you, what's going on with them. They just don't know it, and they just don't see it. And I used to be in 2010, I started going to church. I started reading the Bible. I started seeking God in a different way, because I grew up Catholic. I grew up in the Catholic Church. My whole family's Catholic, and I turned to Christianity, to the Bible, to biblical Christianity, to in 2010, and I accepted Jesus, and did all the things, and nothing changed. I was still empty inside. I was still going watching porn. I was still um, doing a bunch of things that I shouldn't have been doing. But it got to a point to where in my prayer I would just go and repeat the same prayer again, and it gets tiring. It gets to a point where you get on your knees and there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say because you've already said it so many times. You've already repented so many times. And that's another thing I mentioned yesterday in the video. I have nothing to repent for. And I was lied to about that in the church. I was looking for God in pastors. I was looking for God in churches. I was looking for God in sermons. I was looking for God in all the places where God is not. God is the place where I found God was within me. When I started watching myself, when I started observing what's going on with me and why I'm doing the things I'm doing. That's where God is. God is inside of us. Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is at hand," meaning the kingdom of heaven is within us. And I had the perception as a Christian that we needed to die in order to go to heaven, and we needed to try to be perfect here in order to go to heaven. And that's a lie. We can be in heaven here. We can start living in heaven here. We can start being free here. Jesus said that when he came to make us free. So why are we not free? Why are we still hating? Why are we still sad? Why are we still going through all these emotions and up and down feelings? That's not freedom. Going to a church every day of the week, um, on Sundays or whatever, that's I've come to realize that's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody. And it's eye opening to me. Is eye opening and amazing because I believe the lie. I believe that. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something that happened to me, and you might think it's crazy or whatever, but when I say that when you mess up so many times and you repent so many times for the same thing over and over and over again, it gets to a point to where you get on your knees and you're just like, God, I there's nothing to say. Like, I've come here with the same issue every single time and nothing's changed. And I'll tell you a quick story of something that happened to me that made me realize that I was doing wrong, for that I was seeking God the wrong way. I was working night shift, and I was at work one day, and at 3 in the morning I decided to come home. I just wasn't feeling it. I just decided to come home. I had a lot of things that I was dealing with, a lot of fights with the wife, and just a bunch of stuff that I was going through. So I decided to come home, and I got on my knees on the couch, and I started praying. And oh, Jesus saved me, and Jesus this, and Jesus that, and I started crying, and I saw in the prayer with my eyes closed, I saw how this thing in me started laughing, like literally laughing at me. And that spooked me. It scared me. And I stepped back and I was like, wait, what was that? Like, and that's when I started realizing, wait a second, there's something here that's driving me that is not God, that is not me. Who is it? So I started watching myself. And I've come to understand that it's those demons that I spoke with about at the beginning of the video. We got to stop calling these things the names that we call them, and we got to start calling them for what they are. Because by calling them depression, sadness, happiness, these up and downs, we're just covering up the fact that they're demons and they're evil spirits. So that's it. I'm running out of time here on my space on my phone. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care. If this helps anybody, remember, God is with you and He's not at church. You are the church.